What's the good word, y'all? It's your boy DKB here, breaking down day 10 of New York Jets training camp. We had some exciting things come on. We had a special guest, the Method Man, that showed up. I didn't even know he was a Jets fan, so it's cool to see him get added to the list of celebrity fans. Exchanged some jerseys with Aaron Rodgers, from what I understand. You know, some of his music blasted. He just kind of hanged out, and I think he gave his thoughts on the team. I'm not too sure. I haven't got a chance to see that little snippet just yet, but still cool to see him come through. I don't think we've actually had a celebrity show up to camp in maybe 2 or 3 seasons, so it's cool for what it's worth. In terms of on-field news, we did get wide receiver Corey Davis that returned to practice, so the illness seems to be behind him. He's stacking up some days again, which will be nice, but we're not going to see him in the Hall of Fame game. So it's not like it's a huge miss, and of course Aaron Rodgers isn't going to be out there or anything like that. So, not too much of a miss other than him trying to build up some chemistry, but it's just nice to see him back on the field. Aaron Rodgers connected with his tight ends. We know that he has a long history of, either making tight ends or making good tight ends even better. And so he connected with some touchdowns to Jeremy Ruckert and CJ Uzomah. Hopefully that continues, right? Tyler Conklin, I haven't heard as much in terms of big plays or red zone ability or anything like that. I know he's definitely been out there making plays, but when it comes to actually converting into points, I've mostly heard Uzomah and Ruckert, at least in the tight end room, when it comes to Aaron Rodgers and these dots that he's throwing. So for what it's worth, something to pay attention to. Our favorite undrafted free agent wide receiver right now, Jason Brownlee, he's done it again. A one-handed catch this time in practice, a deep bomb from Zach Wilson. And I didn't get a chance to see who the cornerback was. I want to say I saw the number 32. And I don't remember who's wearing that jersey number right now, but nonetheless, I haven't been this excited about an undrafted free agent wide receiver in a long time, and he's arguably made the most plays out of a guy like Garrett Wilson, just from what I've been able to see and compare in terms of notes from, across like Twitter and a few things I see pull up there, and then, of course, just my own research. So this is a guy that I thought, if we keep 6 wide receivers, he's definitely in the lead at this point in time. But not only may the New York Jets have to seriously consider trying to sneak him onto the roster, they might have to find a way to legitimately give him some playing time, maybe over a guy like Randall Cobb, who's a little bit more of a one-trick pony in the sense that he's kind of a pure slot receiver at this point in time. Overall, I mean, that's kind of how he's been utilized his whole career. But you may have to find a way to try to give him 10, 15 snaps a game and see what he can do. He's creating a lot of damage in his intermediate range. And he may be more than just a chain mover. He's slow, running a 4.59 40. Maybe he plays a little bit quicker than that, but even during the highlights, he's not really pulling away from his guys. He's just making strong, contested catches in traffic. And so whether that's him high pointing a ball, whether that's the ball just being put in a prime position, a back shoulder throw that only he can get to, or he's basketball posting somebody up and making sure only he has a chance to get it. He's put a lot of different things in terms of his arsenal for securing a catch on display, and I think he's it may be whispers right now, right? You don't know what's going to happen when the actual games themselves come on, but he, to me, has seemed like the best wide receiver outside of a guy like Garrett Wilson for the information that we're privy to. So I'm very, very excited for him. He looks like he could. We say this a lot about a few different undrafted free agents every year for us, right? We can't help it as New York Jets fans, especially with the bad rosters that we've had. You kind of hang your hat on the underdog story, but Jason Brownlee, he could legitimately be the steal of that entire draft class as a guy that ends up rising to the ranks of, maybe he gets paired up in the future as Garrett Wilson's number 2 running mate. And we give ourselves one of those combinations like we see with the Bengals and with the Dolphins with, a Waddle Chase connection. Not Waddle Chase, Tyreek Hill and Waddle. And then you have Chase and you have... It's not Boyd Higgins. So nonetheless, very, very excited for what his future can be. Jermaine Johnson, he's been flashing. Once again, he picked up 2 sacks today to the detriment of Max Mitchell. So, kind of a porous day for him. But Jermaine Johnson, as we talked about, he's been seeing significant first team reps. And in my mind, there's a legitimate chance where if Carl Lawson maybe is a little bit slower out of the gate than Jermaine Johnson is in terms of picking up those, fancy stat numbers, so the sacks and maybe the pressures, for example, there could be a situation where maybe he overtakes him as a starter at some point this season. I mean, he's definitely done it. It's an interesting situation overall to see that Carl Lawson's taking a backseat in training camp. So I don't know if that's a matter of they just want to give Jermaine Johnson more looks or not. But he's definitely capitalizing on the opportunity. And then we've seen Tim Boyle. I've beaten up on him quite a bit. Seen a few different publications mention that he's generally had a strong training camp. For what it's worth, but he's also probably given up the most interceptions by a wide margin over the course of these 9 practices. And so it's at least good to see that, some of those physical traits are being on display, and maybe he's making a late push to secure a number 3 job if one is available. Threw a bomb to Jerome Cap for a touchdown, and then also was able to throw a deep dart to TJ Luther in between 2 defenders, kind of a perfectly placed ball. So maybe it was just him coming on late. I'd never really expected a ton from him anyways, but it's nice to see that, he's also starting to kind of come into his own during this camp and prove his worth. It's not just a camp arm. There's some legitimate things that he can do. And then for what it's worth, we haven't seen CJ Mosley. There wasn't a reason displayed. Nobody's talked about it. So maybe it's, like a Veterans Day off type situation. But something to keep an eye on. I don't remember exactly what I read, but it's either we haven't seen him in the last practice or 2, or whether it's just this specific one. But nonetheless, again, something to really kind of keep your eye on anytime somebody comes up missing at random. Also interesting to see that the media hasn't picked up on that. So maybe that means a better job than expected from our linebacker core recently. But yeah, more good things out of training camp. Obviously, I think the offense is interesting because we've kind of had somewhat decent offensive lines before, and we've either had terrible quarterback play and terrible weapons. Seems like this time, obviously, we have the elite quarterback play, and we definitely have the weapons. We have people making plays all over, and now it's the offensive line that can kind of make or break our season. So we'll see how fast they gel. The glass half full kind of look on this is that they're facing arguably the deepest defensive line in the NFL from top to bottom. Our third stringers are coming in, and they're probably in some situations first string players on other teams, but definitely second stringers for sure. And so you're getting a really good indication of where they're at, right? Individual guys that are just getting beaten up versus chemistry issues on the offensive line. But overall, as Robert Saleh mentioned, you can only hope to get better by facing a team like this. Definitely the iron sharpening iron approach, but the offensive line is definitely well behind anything that the defensive line is doing at this point in time. So you hope it gets better for sure. I would say the needle's still trending up on at least a few guys: Elijah Vera Tucker, Max Mitchell, and then Connor McGovern maybe to a degree. The center competition has been somewhat minimal on news outside of course, Connor McGovern leading the way. But we'll see what happens there. Hall of Fame game Thursday. Super excited for it. And let me know what you guys think. I'll catch you again. Peace.